Now we have to move to the actual core of the topic I'm trying to get to,
Yes.
which is what we planned for this episode, which is Kartikeya or Skand.
Yes.
It's a deity that I feel a deep connection with. It's a deity that you feel a deep connection with. It's a deity that many people in Tamil Nadu feel a deep connection
Yes.
with. Why not Bengal and New Delhi and Punjab and Maharashtra?
So not just Tamil Nadu, I think even Kerala and many other in the southern states also there are some influence of Skanda or Subramania or Kartikeya. Coming to this question, why not Bengal? So at least till the time of say the 8th, 9th century, there is good evidence from sculptures and other things that Skandha Upasana was very popular across India, not just Tamil Nadu. He was a primary deity we used to worship. At that time, earlier India extended to include Central Asia, Afghanistan, those areas. So from that area till Bengal, there used to be various sculptures and things related to Skandha that we have discovered. So we can very safely conclude that he was a pan-India deity. We used to worship, everybody used to worship. In Bengal, in North Bengal, there are areas, right now, though that area is nothing, but where there was a reference to a huge Skanda temple. And that references is found in texts in Kashmir, Kashmiri, scholars, and not today's scholars of the, that 9th, 10th century. They referred to a great Skanda temple in North Bengal. There is, in South Bengal also, there were the trader communities who used to worship Skanda. There were places where tribals used to worship Skanda. We used to call him Kartikeya, this same deity. The iconography has slight differences, but otherwise same.
Effectively represented by holding a spear.
So in Bengal side, when we worship Kartikeya, even now Kartik Puja happens in Bengal. By the way, in the village areas and all that, it's quite popular. In certain cities, it's popular. It's a remnant from that time. He holds a bow and arrow.
In Bengal.
Yeah. He holds a bow and arrow, but the peacock is there as the Vahana. And see, there are two similarities between the weapons. He holds a bow and arrow, and in South India, he holds what is called the veil, okay, like a sphere. Both of them are weapons that are to be shot. They work from a distance, right? You don't have to come close to somebody to shoot. You can shoot from a distance. So basically, the indication is that his power is so swift that it will work. Distance doesn't matter. So he did not be physically right next to you when he is protecting an upasaka. Even before the problem actually comes, from a distance he can actually neutralize that is his power. And this knowledge, by the way, I will not go details into it, but this knowledge of the iconography of the astras, the weapons of the deities, and their consequent mantras in the upasana is the peak of mantra sadhana. There are ways in which the astras of devatas can be activated, whether it's Ma Kali, whether it's Tara, whether it's Skanda, whether it's the Trishula. There are ways to activate that. They're mantra sadhanas, a complicated process. It's not so easy and it's not meant for everybody.
What do you mean activate that?
Then the astra is the ultimate of mantra shastra. Means basically, it is just like I had mentioned before also that we consider the devata as same as the mantra. So each of these weapons also have their own mantras. And there's a process to activate that. And the third thing about the mantras of the devatas, of the astras, is that they are very sharp. That's why they are called astras. So they are weapons. Once you activate them, they will show a result. Now, if the person who activated that astra is not steady enough, it can cause some damage to the person also.
Who is trying to activate?
Yes, because it's a weapon at the end of the day. So who can control the weapon? Only the deity can control the weapon. Nobody else can control an astra. So this concept is there in the mantra shastras even today. There are people who worship the veil of Skanda. Specifically, in fact, the veil that is there of Skanda in South is considered to be equivalent to Skanda himself.
You mean the spear, right?
Sphere. So you can have the sphere and you can do puja of this sphere, and that is as good as having Kartikeya with you. Okay, a lot of people do that. In fact, I myself have a veil which I carry wherever I'm going. And suppose I have to go to see for any work, I'm staying in a hotel or something. First thing I'll do is that I'll place the veil there and do a little bit namaskara with certain mantras. Basically, it clears the area of all negatives. The veil has that kind of power. So Kartikeya, the beautiful thing about Lord Kartikeya is that, first of all, he was popular across India. And in some references, long back, it's again, I'm talking about 8th, 9th century, those time, he was very popular in the areas that we have today, like Haryana and those places. Extremely popular. Okay. And the worship of Kartikeya does another thing. It brings a steady power of Mars. In fact, the Brihat Parashar Hora Shastra, which is a text on Jyotisha, very old text, mentions that when there are problems of Mars, you worship Kartikeya. Okay.
You mean energy levels? And
Energy
health?
level. So he is a deity who can control Mars. Okay. So any issues with Mars can be controlled by Kartikeya.
What are issues with Mars like?
Anything. For example, injuries are happening, blood-related problems, land-related issues, fights, conflicts. So Mars is also known as Mangal. Mangal means good, right? So when Mars is positive, it will make somebody feel good about the environment. Mars is very important in, say, relationships, for example, fights or the lack of fights, whatever, injuries, any kind of warfare. So Kartikeya is a deity Kartikeya is the general of the gods. Remember that. His birth is very beautiful. When the gods could not find a way to destroy an Asura, they worshipped Shiva, and it was the prophecy was that only Shiva has a child, then only that child will be able to destroy that Asura. And then from Shiva came birth of Kartikeya happens. And the story is like this, that the Urja, the Virya of Shiva, the semen of Shiva, which is a very spiritual. So Kartikeya was born, it's believed that when the Virya of Shiva came out, it was taken by it fell because there was so much power in it. It was like a burning hot thing. Because remember that the deities do not have physical body. These are stories to tell you a lesson, deeper lesson. A deity doesn't have physical body like you and me. So you may ask that what exactly does it mean? We come to that part later. But the story goes that the Virya was so powerful that it fell in the waters. The water could not carry it. It fell into fire. Fire could not carry it. It's so hot, so powerful. And then it was taken up by it fell in a reed, in a forest, small forest of bushes, of bushy leaves and all that. Those leaves, that forested area, that's called the Sharavana. Saravana Bhava means somebody who's born out of those leaves in that. And then at that time there were 6 Matrikas, very fierce deities in the sky, which are connected to the nakshatra called Kritika. Kritika is a nakshatra in the zodiac. That nakshatra has 6 stars. These 6 stars are like 6 Matrikas, very fierce women. Okay. They came down and nursed that baby. So each of them nursed. So there were like 6 parts of that Virya, and they it started growing, and it had 6 heads. Eventually, when it grew up, then Parvati came and hold all of them together, and those 6 come together. So therefore, the number 6 has a strong connection to Kartikeya. And in Jyotisha, 6 is the house of conflicts, of war. So here is a being who's a god of war, and in this story, he is born entirely from the Virya of Shiva. So he doesn't pass through the womb. There is no point where he is passing through the womb and developing. So there's a moral to this story. And then once he grows up, he becomes so powerful that first of all, Indra gets scared because he is able to defeat anybody. There's nobody who can defeat him. He's so powerful. And then he goes into fight with the gods. And as he's fighting with the deities at the Asuras, multiple times he's fighting, different times. At the end, there's a 6-day war that happens. And before the last day, Parvati gives him the veil, the astra. Using that astra, he is able to defeat the Asuras. Okay, that veil. So here is a deity whose whole body is of the entire masculine energy. There is no other god in our pantheon whose whole formation has only masculine energy. It's only Kartikeya. Okay, absolutely raw power of Mars. Raw power of Mars from top to bottom. Only Shakti that he carries is the veil, through which he destroys the Asuras. Okay, and he's the general of the gods. What does the general mean? So we can say that there are so many warrior gods in our we worship, right? Hanumanji is a warrior god. So many other gods are there. Bhairava is also warrior in some sense. But the interesting thing about Kartikeya is that we call him the general of the gods. Being a general means you have the ability to strategize various things. You can use multiple astras. You can use multiple things to attack. That is the beauty of the general. Okay. Whereas a specific deity will have its, say, Ma Kali has her direct contact of attack, and I'm just as a way of explaining, I'm saying. Okay. Not to take it literally in that sense, but it gives a spiritual insight of what it meant. Whereas a general means that he has in his disposal, the weapons of all the gods. Because he is the leader of the army. Okay. And then there's another aspect of Skanda, which is that when he is not carrying the veil or the bow and arrow that he has in Bengal side that we do, so that time he's an entirely a deity, as I said, as completely Purusha Tattva Pradhan Devata. Purusha Tattva is the masculine energy. When we use the word masculine, we automatically, in the Western sense of the word, is somebody who's like, maybe six-pack abs and doing this and that. No, it's not masculine in that sense, because remember, they don't have a physical body. It's masculine in the head, okay, in that strength and the determination. So once Skanda is determined that this has to be done, it will be done. Nobody in the 14 universes can stop him. That strength and determination is considered to be a masculine quality in the spiritual sense. Second thing is, as I mentioned right now, Shiva and Shakti. So he is the son of Shiva, it's as if literally he is the son of only Shiva. The Purusha Tattva is so prominent in him. So he enters without the veil, he becomes a guru. Okay, he becomes a guru means he enters into the state of Samadhi. And he becomes known as Guha. Guha is the cave dweller. The cave is where inside the human heart. So he goes inside his states, enters into a state of Advaitam. Advaitam is when all realization of the Brahman becomes prevalent to the person, and the static force of the universe, which I called Shiva right now, that he realizes very quickly, and he enters into that state, and he can give Upadesham. He goes so high, so deep. Upadesham means he acquires the ability to give the advice of the Pranava even to Lord Shiva, who is his father. Okay, but just to complete this, when he holds the veil, that is when he goes out and fights. So either he's a guru when he's sitting in the depth of the heart, when he's become Guha, or he is the warrior par excellence.
How is he different from Shiva? If it was only Shiva's masculine energy that created.
Yes, that's because Shiva is vast. Okay, Shiva encompasses everything. Shiva encompasses even those states which are not, let's say that those states of spirituality which is inaccessible to human beings. Even that is Shiva. There's a vastness about Shiva. Okay, absolute, subtle, very vast, and also transcendental. Remember that a large part of Shiva is transcendental. Parama Shiva or Parashiva, which is not even in creation. He's not interested in the creation. He's beyond the creation. We cannot even imagine what he is. Forget about any mantras, all that comes later. We can't imagine what this being is. Okay, but Kartikeya is a child of Shiva, which means a portion of his energy who has that masculine energy has directly come down here. He is inside creation. The second thing about Kartikeya, just like Bhairav Baba, is that his energy is very easy to access. Shiva is very difficult to access, relatively speaking. Of course, if somebody has Purvajanma Samskara, may get to Shiva quickly. That's one-off cases can happen. But Shiva is so subtle, that's not easy. Kartikeya, on the other hand, is very connected to the earth, to this physical manifestation plane. That is, in corresponding to Kartikeya, look at it, so beautifully done, is Ganpati. Ganapati's creation story is that he is made entirely from Parvati. And only the head is that what Shiva puts.
I think this is a concept we've discussed on multiple episodes with yourself as well as other speakers on Sanatan Dharma. Often when you pray to a particular deity or when you're involved in a particular upasana, you do pick up characteristics of that deity.
Correct. Absolutely.
I see this with so many of the Krishna upasaks who come on the show. They are blissed out more than normal. There's a certain sense of contentment. With the Shiva upasaks, it's usually, for lack of better words, some kind of detachment, or they're a little withdrawn. With Shakti upasaks, it's a lot of intensity. So what would be the adjective associated with Skandupasana?
I find Skandupasana to bring about a tremendous intensity in an upasaka. Shakti upasana is not just intensity, it could depend on the Shakti. If it's Tripur Sundari, it's very different. That bliss that you talk about in Vaishnava Krishna upasakas, that equal amount of bliss comes in even with Tripur Sundari. Terrific amount of bliss. Skanda's beauty is that determination comes in the upasaka. That determination, and that for lack of better words, people around may find even that person to be a little arrogant. But it's not arrogance. It's the power of Mars that works that way. Because once you set in your mind ki ye karna hai aise, you will get it done, and there's no amount of opposition that can stop you. Nothing. It's like that fixed energy. He grips the soul and the body, and he floods the upasaka with so much energy that you feel that there's nothing that can stop you. Success is guaranteed. In fact, very interestingly, I mentioned it once earlier somewhere. There are old texts in Nepal and other areas, and somebody had sent a copy of that text to me. where till again 7th, 8th century, when Skanda Upasana was popular across India, Skanda was considered as the Vedic equivalent of Vatuka Bhairava. Vatuka is a small child form of Bhairava. Skanda was also considered as the son of Shiva and Parvati, as a small child. And Skanda Upasana, by the way, is very old. It comes from the Vedas. The Atharva Veda itself, there is a whole section of mentions about Skanda Upasana. The other thing about Skanda Upasana, even see in Bihar and other regions, there's the Chhat Puja that is so popular, right? So Shashti Devi is worshipped. The 6th day, Chhat Puja, 6th day Shashti Devi is also worshipped in Bengal side. When a child is born, on the 6th day there's a puja done. So protection of children was also a domain that Skanda used to take care of. Protecting from sarpas, nagas. So there is an iconography of Skanda where Skanda is there, the Vahana, which is the peacock, is there, and that peacock is actually biting into a snake, because peacocks are enemies of snakes. Bites into a snake, and with the talons of the peacock, it's only gripping another snake like that. So this is a very popular iconography, and in a temple like in South, it's a temple called Kuke Subramaniam in Bangalore, where people go to do various pujas for Sarpa dosha, Sarpa related problems and all that. So Skanda becomes the lord who can control Sarpas. It's a very powerful thing, very, very powerful thing, and it has got tremendous implications in spirituality, that he has the ability to control Sarpas. Sarpas are basically, you can look at it as, these lower emotions.
Oh.
Envy, jealousy, anger, these are all representative by Sarpas. Okay. So that thing, he can his Vahana and his Upasana can grip that negative feeling or energy and protect a Upasaka from that.
You gain discipline over your own mind.
Absolutely. And discipline over your life.
If you enjoyed this clip from the Ranveer Show, we've uploaded a ton of other clips related to a ton of other topics. So explore the channel, because there's something for everyone.